Hello, everyone, and good afternoon where I am, good morning where you may be. This is Diana Rankin, and we are going to have our chat with Phillip this week. And we've got an interesting question. And what's interesting to me is the question has been looked at before in a different format, but the answers that I got from Phillip always surprised me. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't I know that? And then this answer comes and I learned something. So I am so grateful for your questions. Before I forget, this is the 47th week in the month or in the year. It's November 21st to the 27th. It is in the US, this is the month of celebrating Native Americans. And I know some people also celebrate Thanksgiving. So hooray for Native Americans, and for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. May it be a day of thanks. Hello, Cindy. You made it live. So good to see you. Cindy is a bunny person. So, Cindy, feel free to put your bunny website up there and tell people about your work. We will get, I want to get to the question pretty quickly here, but I do want to tell you we will get a message from one of my book, The Master's Book of the Answers by Phillip, and several of you have asked me, is this book available? Yes, you can get it through my website, which is below. You can also get it on Amazon. So we'll get that message in a moment or in a few minutes here. And another one of my books that I'm going to read a little bit to from today, some of the things that Phillip says, I think needed a little more explanation for those of us who are human. And so I'm going to read from one of my other books, The Found Child. And I'll tell you about that in a few minutes here. So again, everyone, welcome. Those of you who can make it live, it's always great to see you. Those of you who watch us on reruns, thank you. We appreciate that so much. And I want to also say I'm so grateful for your comments. And thank you for the happy birthdays. I had a grand birthday. I am officially now 76 years old, and it feels good. I have no complaints. I'm very, very blessed, I think, to be in such good health and have the energy I have, et cetera, at 76. Hello, Juliet. Hello, happy Friday to everyone, she says. So good to see you, Juliet. If you have questions, I ask that you keep the questions generic so that they're questions that everyone would ask. If you have personal questions, please give me a call and we'll set up an appointment date for you. I want to also say, after I took, 3 years off or so, and I have started up the newsletter again. So for those of you who want to get the newsletter, you can sign up again through my website. You'll learn about our Friday evenings that we have. Right now it's every other month, but I may change that, of Sacred Circle on Zoom. And I do limit that to about 10 to 12 people. So if you are interested in that, you'll want to get signed up for the next one. Tonight is our Sacred Circle Zoom. And it's a little bit late to be getting signed up for tonight, but I will be putting out December. I'll be in Columbus for a Sacred Circle at the Reiki Center, but I will certainly in January have a Sacred Circle and possibly do Zoom Sacred Circle in December anyway, because it is such a big month. So I want to get going here though, because there's a lot to digest and take in. All right. Here's her question. Do spiders and insects have some kind of a soul? Where goes their spark of life after death? Phillip says, let us first I can hear it. I'm going to have trouble with this word. Deemphrage, it's not coming out of my mouth. My tongue isn't going to say it. But deemphrage, between soul and spirit. You know what I'm saying. Let's show the difference. Let's deemphrate. It's not going to come through my tongue. I don't know why. Interesting. But let's first show the difference between soul and spirit as we define them. I want to, and we'll go back in and I'll see if I can't add it to this. But if not, I have a video. It's what does an umbrella have to do with the soul or the spirit, something like that. But YouTube, use my name and what does an umbrella, and you'll get the rest of it. It really kind of illustrates the difference between soul and spirit that Phillip is going on here. And I've used that also in workshops. Some of you have seen me do that in workshops. So you might want to look at that video. Phillip goes on to say, the soul is part of the spirit, which is the whole of all. Let us say your spirit is your God spark, that part of you that is part of all. Your spirit is pure love. The soul is the connector between spirit and all experiences. By this we mean life, whether in the earth's plane or in other forms, such as on other planets created by those in soul experiences, just as the earth was. So what Phillip is saying is the spirit is the overriding. Everything is spirit, whereas the soul is a list of our experiences. The soul is the story of each being, shall we say? Phillip goes on to say, the soul is the story of each being. Every soul is connected to the spirit, regardless of how the being chooses to experience and express a life. All life has a purpose, whether experienced as a human, a stone person, or a spider. As a human, you have some sense of the life expression. You are unable, however, to understand the validity of life expressions in other forms. Let us explain by using evolution. Imagine a current in spirit brought forth a sense of being a part from spirit. So we're all in spirit, everything is spirit, and then there's this sense of a ripple, this current that suddenly feels apart but separate from spirit. This current produces ripples that create thought forms that in turn created air and water and land. They created earth. Now we are making this sound simple. Do keep in mind we are talking before time was, but to put all in perspective of time, we would say we are speaking of more time than the human mind can perceive. These thought forms became single cells floating in the great waters. Eventually, they began to move. As they did so, they met one another and bonded. As single cell forms became multiple cell forms, they moved from water to land, where they created other forms. Eventually, they created humans. This is not to say humans are the highest form of creation. I love that line. This is not to say that humans are the highest form of creation, Phillip says. It is to say humans are one form of creation. The soul chooses the form of the experience, whether choosing human form, or spider form. Excuse me, my throat's getting a little dry here. Whether choosing human form or spider form depends on what is to be experienced. I'm going to divert there, and that's what I'm going to read from this book, because I think this explains what Phillip is saying here. He's saying that the soul chooses the form of the experience, whether choosing human form or spider form, depends on what is to be experienced. So I want to read from this book because I think it takes it to a level of explanation. Now, there are 4 people involved in what I'm going to read. And one is a woman named Diana who is having an experience in spirit world. Hello, Judith. Hello, Annika. So good to see the both of you, along with Juliet and Cindy. Anyway, I divert here, sorry. The one is Diana, who is the main character. Imagine that. One is Phillip, who is the guide as she's going through this adventure in spirit world. And then there's Davy, who is this little boy who is a rather interesting odd little boy. And the only reason I bring him in is because he does have a little bit to say in this. I'm going to read, 2 pages here, I think. So it starts with Diana and Philip and Davy standing there. The we is referring to those three. We moved, and here's the fourth character. It's a wizard of an old woman. So we moved to stand behind a wizard of an old woman, stoop-shouldered and hungry-looking. Philip explained that I was seeing people as they portrayed themselves to my energy. He was able to see them through my eyes so that we could see the same images, but it was only images that we saw. The people or images were souls who displayed themselves differently depending upon who was looking and depending upon how they saw themselves. Philip says, these souls are portraying themselves to you as humans in different stages of life, he explained. Many hold the image of how they looked as they left their last earth life. The woman starved during the Cultural Revolution in China. Are we disturbing her by being here? I asked. Not at all. She, like everyone here, is only aware of our being here on the level of visual awareness, which is why you can see them. I'm reading this little introduction into where we're going to go with this, and it'll all make sense, but this kind of explains what's going on in spirit world. Philip goes on to say, to preview their futures, they are concentrating on the level of creation and mind adjustments, which is why they don't see you. He saw my confusion. Think of an elevator, he said. The elevator is one compartment, but can move up and down to different levels. If you get off the elevator on the second floor, you have no awareness of what is taking place on the third floor. The third floor still exists. You may even know it exists, but you do not have an awareness of what is unfolding on that floor unless you take the elevator to that floor. Oh, Davy squeezed my fingers. Real cool, he said, sounding more like a teenager than a 7-year-old. I had almost forgotten him and was so engrossed in what Philip was saying. I squeezed Davy's hands back and gave him a quick wink and smile, but kept my eyes on the old woman. She watched one monitor where a movie played of a young Asian couple cooing over a newborn baby. She has the choice of returning to China or going to another country, Philip explained. If she chooses to return to China, she may choose to return to her former family lineage. This is often the choice when business is left unfinished within that family that the soul believes they can master. Philip turned to look directly at me, his eyes serious. You, for example, return to your family of origin. You are actually your own ancestor. I started to ask him what he meant when Davy yanked on my hand. Look! The old woman was watching a different monitor. An obese man who wore large gold rings on each hand sat alone in a restaurant stuffing down spaghetti. Red sauce dribbled from the corners of his mouth. Why would she choose this life, I wondered. She wants to know what it feels like to be full, Philip answered. This life will probably not suit her, though. It does not allow her to feel satisfied, only to experience a variety of different taste. At the third monitor, there was a leader of large and important industrial country. This life, Philip said, would give her the opportunity to change world politics and better understand how governments work on Earth. The fourth monitor was that of the life of a female doctor from Ireland who was aiding starving children in Africa. The fifth monitor was also the life of a woman, a nutritionist and healer in China who counseled others. The sixth monitor was a picture of a large boulder near an ocean cliff. The scene remained the same while we stood watching for several minutes. Nothing changed. This life option is as a stone person, Philip said. Being a stone person would allow her a life of observation and contemplation. In this life expression, she may come to understand the purpose of earthly life. I started to ask Philip what the purpose of earthly life was, but the old woman moved into a seventh monitor, and we moved with her. This was the life of a house cat. What a five! In her last life, she was a member of a collective society, Philip said. She'll be able to adapt well to being part of a large family of cats. She'll also be well fed and not have to scramble for food. She'll be pampered and well cared for. In this life, she'll learn to receive life's bounties. Oh, which life will she choose? I asked. That is up to her and her committees, Philip said. Well, the committees, that's another story, another question, so we won't go into that today. But I just wanted to give you that from this book, from The Found Child, because it explains that we do have the choice of what life we come into. And as Philip says, whether it's a stone person or a human or a four-legged animal, a cat. I'd love to live the life of my cat sometimes. So it's our choice, is what he's saying. And then he goes on to tell us. Now, the question is it wrong for a human to kill a spider? The wrong comes through perception. If a spider comes into your space, the question to be asked is, why is this spider here? What gift, what message does this spider bring to me? So when we see a spider, before we smack that life out of that spider or pick it up and put it outside, if possible, without getting stung or bitten or whatever spiders do, we might ask, what is this message you bring to me? Philip says, perhaps spider has come with a message of love. Perhaps spider has come with a message of harm. Either way, the human can choose to dispose of the spider through moving it to another place or taking its life. Once life is over, spider returns to spirit world. What takes place there is the same as when a human moves into spirit world. The spider will continue to live the story it has created only without the body until and if it chooses to return. I found that interesting, until and if it chooses to return, because that poses another question. Do we have that choice? And it seems that we do. Philip goes on to say, there is a purpose for every life and every life expression. The key is awareness. It is not simply asking, why am I here and why am I in this body? It is to be aware of all that takes place in your life and around you. As you do, look into your thoughts, for this is where your creation begins, whether you are a human or a spider. I'm going to repeat that last paragraph because I think that says a lot for all of us. There is a purpose for every life and every life expression. The key is awareness. It is not simply asking, why am I here or why am I in this body? It is to be aware of all that takes place in your life and around you. As you do, look into your thoughts, for this is where your creation begins, whether you are a human or a spider. So that kind of says to me, if a spider comes to me, that spider and I already have that decision. Maybe the spider came to me, so I would send the spider on into spirit world, or maybe the spider came to me so he would learn the kindness of a human who puts him outside. Who knows? We have to ask ourselves, maybe the spider came to me so I can weave words together to help others. Well, it is so good to see all of you live, and thank you. And thank you for coming live and for your comments. And some of you I will see tonight at Sacred Circle as well. We'll get our message, shall we? Now we just flip through, and there's the page my finger stopped on. I'm getting a mixture of left and right. Left is slightly stronger. So if you heard left, if you were getting the mixture, we're just together. Hello, Michelle. Oh, Michelle, thank you. She says, you are such a joy and a blessing. Bless you, because believe me, this is not the easiest thing I do in my life. And so all of you spur me on and talk me into keep doing this. So thank you. And I would love to grow this YouTube channel. So please tell your friends so we can grow it. Thank you. Here's what it says. If you heard left, this is what we all need to hear. If you heard right, that's a message you must listen to, because that's really a message for you. But I kind of get both of them for all of us this week. So here's the left. If you see the darkness, you can also see the light. If you see the darkness, you can also see the light. Boy, isn't that kind of what Phillip was telling us about awareness, especially it begins with our thoughts? If you can see the darkness, you can also see the light. And there's a lot of darkness in our world right now. Let's bring light to it. If you heard right, this is a hard one, but we all need to hear this one too. Dissatisfaction with another's attitude can teach you about that which is within you. Dissatisfaction with another's attitude can teach you about that which is within you. You know, there are times when I'm out driving that sometimes I want to use a little finger language, shall I say, with other drivers. And I have to look and ask myself when I use that finger language is, okay, what's going on? What are you really angry with? And usually it's something that has nothing to do with that driver. That driver may be a soulmate, that we had this interaction as souls that said, come on, you come cut me off so I have to throw my brakes on and I can get angry at you because I need to look at what I'm really angry at. Who knows? Maybe it's a soul message. So remember, when Spider comes to visit, Spider may have a message for you. And remember, if you can see the darkness, you can also see the light. All right, my friends, I'm so grateful for you to come. I'm so grateful for this community. And I thank you, Michelle, Judith, Annika, Juliet, and Cindy, for sharing these moments with me today. Thank you for the love that you receive from us. Thank you for the love that you send to us. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.